Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client, and like we did today, we install a D-box system, we install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware. And that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
A surprising non-win for Andrew Hardman last time out brought the Formula 3 championship within striking distance for Robert Ridgway. But as drop weeks start to go into account, he'll have to be on the top of his form to truly take the fight to Hardman. Meanwhile, in the Porsche Cup Series, the battle for the top step continues to be tight as ever, with Rodrigo Mies and Felipe Loyola trading victories and swapping points over the past several rounds. Will tonight finally start to give us some definitive answers as to who will walk away with the championship at the end of the season? Well, we won't have long to wait as we get ready to watch Round 7 of the PRL Thursday Night Series, brought to you here live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm DJ Clark, and with me in the booth is Michael Johnson. Behind the scenes is our director, Joe Peak, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. First up on the agenda is the Nürburgring. While the Grand Prix layout may not be as fearsome as its bigger brother, the Nordschleife, it still presents plenty of challenges. For a run-through of just what those are, let's head over to our track guide.
Welcome to the Nürburgring. Often overshadowed by its older, bigger brother, the Nordschleife, the Grand Prix course has actually accrued quite a bit of history itself. This modern circuit was built in the early 80s as a replacement for the lesser-known Southern Loop. And while it was updated and extended in 2002, it stayed roughly 3 miles in length throughout its history. However, the addition of the Mercedes Arena brought about a total of 6 different layouts to choose from, with the longest including 16 turns. Though not as fearsome as the Ring, it's technically challenging and carries its own fair share of elevation change. Plus, the types of corners come in a wide variety, ranging from the heavy braking into the sharp hairpin of the first turn, to the swift Schumacher S, which is still not quite flat out in a lot of modern cars. passing can sometimes come at a premium, and drivers are often forced to get creative if they find themselves stuck behind a competitor. But the difficulty that elicits mistakes means that patience can pay off for those who stay diligent. While Formula One raced here on and off for a few decades, it now mainly hosts GT and touring car racing, along with some lower-tier open-wheel series. In the end, race fans certainly shouldn't overlook the importance of this German circuit. While it may not carry the fame of its counterpart, it holds up well and helps keep this worldwide phenomenon relevant to modern racing.
Well, Michael, that's an overview of what this track will be like. But for these Formula 3 cars, how are they going to handle it?
Well, these Formula 3 cars are going to have a blast on this track. There are some wonderful straightaways, some massively tight sweepers that are just on the edge. Do you call it a sweeper like the Schumacher S? But, you know, it's one of those places that has almost everything. Super slow corners like turn 1 that you just can't see anything. So 16 turns here. Every one of them is going to bring its own little story in this layout. 3.1 miles, little over 7 kilometers. Now, this is going to be a 40-minute race, 22 laps approximately. There's going to be a lot to play with here. It'll be another amazing show.
It sure will. But before we get to that show, we'd like to thank our sponsors for tonight. First off, our broadcast is brought to you by ASR. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest, most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available on the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
It's also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at RaceLab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible level of immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out today at thebuttkicker.com.
And finally, the PRL Open Wheel Series is brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance.
Well, you heard me mention it there at the top. In terms of the drivers' standings, Andrew Hardman holding a 22-point advantage over Robert Ridgway. But with drop weeks starting into account, Ridgway's going to hope to close that gap down just a little bit. Steven Ritter sits back in third place, 11 points back of Ridgway, and Almanar about 22 points back of him. Nick Horvath rounds out your top 5, but he's got to be careful because Fernando Rodriguez is only about 4 points off of the Evolve Sim Sports Academy driver. We also have a teams championship out here, Michael, and what can you tell us about that?
And the teams, it is still no surprise that Andrew Hardman's Britannia iSports is sitting out front with 361 points. But you know who's next. That's Robert Ridgway and Steven Ritters. And the Atomic Racing Proton, 24 points back. It's going to get interesting. 118 points off the leader, SDS Racing Team. Then Evolve Sim Sports Academy, 148 points back, with Blown Tranny Racing at 199 in fifth.
Well, that brings us to today's race details. As I said, this is the 7th of 10 rounds for this Formula 3 series. It's going to be a 22-lap affair out there and open setups. That's where those teammates really come into play because you can tweak and tune these Formula 3 cars to just get the setups right here. There are some penalties out there. You get a drive-through at 13 incidents as well as a disqualification at 17, and a bonus point is available for pole, fastest lap, and 3 incidents or less. And right now, drivers are out on track going for that pole position, and it's Andrew Hardman leading the way to the tune of about a tenth of a second over Tyler Scarali and Robert Ridgway.
Yeah, these guys are doing everything they can right now to just slot into the right spot. You don't want to get too close to the car in front of you because you're going to lose a little bit of downforce. As we look here, Robert Hardman doing a great job. He's just far enough off the car in front of him. Doesn't want to get too close up there onto Nick Horvath. but he knows Nick is a really fast driver, and he's probably going to stay far enough away from him where he maintains enough of draft without getting too much of that downforce taken away from him.
Well, and Michael, you talked about some of the fast sweepers around here. How much does that really upset the car and really break up any passing opportunities once we get into the race with all of those fast sweepers that drivers are going to be trailing behind on?
Well, if you're a fan of Formula One, you watch Formula One, you know what goes on there. There's this huge turbulence that comes up behind the cars, and it makes it really difficult to pass. F3, not quite as much. There still is, and if you get too close, you will notice, and we will see in the broadcast somebody right up on someone going through one of these sweepers. The rear end's going to start to get a little bit wiggly, and they're going to try to come out of that corner as best they can, but it does affect these cars to some extent.
Well, these drivers are going to have to try to avoid it. Donald Olson, who you've seen on your screen right now, currently back in 24th, trying to improve on a 1:48.1. He's a little bit off of the best time there, about 2 seconds off, but he's going to get a nice improvement there to go up to 21st, waiting for a couple of other drivers to cross over here. And now he dives his way down into the Haug hook. Michael, you talked about how blind that is, and there goes Olson for a little spin.
Oh yeah, the Haug hook will get you every time if you're just a little bit off. The millimeters matter. It's really interesting with Haughocken, as we call it in German. The millimeters matter when you're going through there because you have the front end of the car loaded up so heavily. It's just a quick drop down, and you're trying to turn the car around, but you want to keep the rear end. But if we take a look at the back of one of these cars as they're running along, those rear tires are tiny. When you compare them to something like a Formula One car, a Formula 2 car, other Formula cars, those rear tires, there's nothing to them. The cross section is very narrow.
Yeah, very narrow, and so drivers are going to be screaming out for grip here, but thankfully the track's not too toasty. Currently sitting at about 56 degrees Fahrenheit out on 64, degrees Fahrenheit out on track. The air temperature just a degree below that. A little bit of wind coming out of the southwest. Is that going to buffer any of these drivers, Michael? Are they going to find things a little bit difficult with that 7 to 8 mile an hour wind?
Well, if the wind picks up a little bit beyond this, I think these cars are going to start to notice it. They don't have that big stabilization platform that you see a lot on the prototypes and on the Formula One cars. It's just not there. They will get some extra push or a little bit extra downforce because of well, there's 8 miles per hour more going your way, 7 to 8 miles per hour more, 13 kilometers per hour more to give you that extra little bit. But it can also take away if you're going into a spot where you need that extra downforce and the air is coming from behind. Well, that's that much less you're going to have trying to get around that particular obstacle.
There you go. That'll be the storyline we'll have to watch here, as this is Calvin Lee currently working his way around the track, back in 23rd position right now, the Flying Husky Racing driver. He is behind Takeshi Kita, who is currently qualified in 4th place, 0.5 of a second off of your leader, Hardman. And while there is a pretty decent gap up to Hardman, there are a lot of very close battles up and down the field. And you and I were remarking before the show that Takeshi's ability to really fight his way through the field, good use of getting through traffic for him. Him starting this far up the order, that has got to be a little bit terrifying for some of the other drivers.
I think you're right on that one. He's kind of this series version of Alain McNish. If you've ever watched Alain McNish in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, he is an absolute master getting through traffic. Takeshi does a brilliant job. I love watching Mr. Sneaky work his way through traffic. But when he starts out in P4, we're used to seeing him finish P4, P3 in that range when he started back in P8, P9. Starting in 4th place, I think Tyler Scarali, Robert Ridgway, Andrew Hardman, they've got a little bit of worry going on right now.
And Michael Broomhead just pipped that 4th place position away from Takeshi Kita with a time of a 1:46.4, beating him out by just under 1/10 of a second. So Broomhead starting to assert his dominance here a little bit, and that is really important, especially for the team's championship. Hardman and Broomhead both driving for Britannia. Meanwhile, Ridgway and Kita on that Atomic Racing Proton team.
Yeah, it looks like Ridgway's trying to put a little stamp down right here and say, no, you know what? I want to go for that P2 and work my way up there, maybe to P1. Got a really good lap going here. Don't put it beyond him to be able to get this one.
Well, he was green through Sector 1. The driver ahead of him, Tyler Scarali, in the pits now. Does Ridgway able to improve? Yes, he is with a 46.167. That is an improvement, but it is not enough to take second place away from Scarali, and Ridgway's going to call it a day. Here comes Michael Broomhead. Broomhead is looking very, very feisty here. He is purple through the second sector. I think he could be on one.
Yeah, Broomhead's really trying. Oh, he might have gotten a little bit too far out there. I don't know if that was far enough to get this lap disqualified. You can use quite a bit of the runoff on that particular corner, but you get too far and it's going to take away that time.
All right, we continue to watch him here, putting in some relatively competitive times across the board. A little bit slower through Sector 4 as he now woes it up around Coca-Cola. Very important in the race to get a good jump off of this corner, but right now he has got to focus on it to try to better his lap time. And it's not going to be better for Broomhead. Unfortunately, he is not going to get it. Ritters crosses over the line. Ritters is able to improve up into 8th place. So a good lap there for Steven Ritters. Checkered flag is out. Here comes James Carter as he works his way around. Carter currently in 15th, flying through the Michael Schumacher S.
Oh, yeah, the Schumacher S, one of my favorite corner combinations here. Back when I taught at this track, we taught everything in combinations, and Schumacher S was the only thing that was a single name that we taught because it was the S's that you went through. It was a left and a right, but everything else here is taught as combinations. And we might have added Dunlop onto the beginning of that. But let's take a look at Andrew Hardman here, trying to assert his dominance as he comes through here. He's actually looking a little bit better. Is he going to get a little bit faster as he comes across the start-finish line this time? He does with a 1:45.876, almost a tenth faster.
And that's going to improve his gap to almost 0.2 of a second. James Carter, who we were following earlier, deciding to peel off into the pits, as does Rob Campbell. Looks like Fernando Rodriguez is going to try to set a better lap, but he's not going to do so. Colin Heffernan now coming out of Coca-Cola. The Atomic Racing Neutron driver is going to cross over the line, unable to improve there, about 0.3 off of his best time. And I'm not sure if Broomhead is going to have enough time here to get another lap in, Michael.
Yeah, it looks like we are close to done, and I don't think anybody's going to be able to do much here. Although Broomhead, if anybody's going to try it, I think he's the guy to do it. As he comes around the final corner here, puts down the power, tries to head towards start-finish. No, something happened with his time on that one. Oh, he did. That was his best. He got a 1:46.284.
Exactly. That's not going to improve his position, but that is going to bump him up in time just a little bit. Watching Adam McDonald here, unable to improve, and that's going to about wrap up qualifying. And before we take you to the grid, we'd like to thank our sponsor, The Majors Garage. Make sure to check them out. The Majors Garage, home of free Baseline Plus setups. Get help from any of the garage coaches 24/7. Sign up now for an awesome, affordable monthly subscriptions, telemetry, coaching, and more by simply clicking on our link in the description below. Also, if you use our special discount code MajorsGSRC, you will also get 10% off. So that brings us directly to our starting grid for the race here today. 22 laps around this Nürburgring circuit, lining up in pole position. It's going to be Andrew Hardman. To his outside, it'll be Tyler Scarali with Robert Ridgway and Michael Broomhead behind them. Takeshi Kita lines up to the inside of row 3 and Joey Haynes flanking him. Fernando Rodriguez and Steven Ritters make up row 4. Nick Horvath will be 9th and Max Chablis rounds out your top 10.
On row 6, we're going to have Brad Miller, along with Colin Heffernan. Row 7, Jonathan Almanar, Devin Lemke. P15 is going to be James Carter. Alongside him, Phil Amaro, Matthew Gunderson, Richard Swindells, Rob Campbell pairing there, and Sean Duhamel bring out the top 20.
In 21st, it'll be Calvin Lee with Donald Holson to his outside. James Holland will be 23rd, followed by James Doherty with Tyler Gore and Adam McDonald behind him. Greg Doucette will be 27th with Johnny Luna 28th and Dave Peterson rounding out your 29-car field. Well, here we go, waiting for these last cars to get on to the grid here. Michael, keys to the race right at the start. What are you watching for?
Watching for a clean race. This is a very difficult track because of multiple lines through several of the corners and a lot of the blind corners. So it's going to be really difficult to have a clean race. The person who has the fewest number of incidents and the fewest number of oh no moments, you may use a different name for that, but those moments where you kind of go, uh-oh, yeah, the fewer of those you have, the better off you're going to be.
And the engines start to harmonize as the lights come on, and the green flag is in the air. It's a good start for Andrew Hardman. It's a great start for Andrew Hardman. It's a terrible start for Michael Broomhead, who falls down the order multiple positions all the way down to 9th. That is going to be Scarali trying not to get swallowed up by Robert Ridgway, but Ridgway sends it on through. Takeshi Kita behind him trying to be aggressive. We've got a car looking like there was a little bit of contact there going through the Haug hook, but everybody able to keep on going. Scarali trying to fight back on Ridgway, but Ridgway looks like he's holding down to that second place position.
Looked like Max Chablis may have been the recipient of that extra hook on the Haug hook. So hopefully his car is okay and he's able to continue. Looks like he's doing all right, but taking a look back up toward the front. Broomhead still heading down the track as best as he can.
Yes, he is. Meanwhile, up in P3, that is the battle to keep our eyes on right now. That is Tyler Scarali. Takeshi Kita tried to have a little bit of a look there through Valvoline and into Ford as they dive down now on the plunging hill. That is Scarali, Kita, Haynes, and Rodriguez looking a little bit interested there in the back. A very, very tight battle starting to shape up.
Joey Haynes doing everything he can to put a little bit of pressure on Kita, but I don't think Kita's going to have this. He's taking a look, trying to sit right into the nice air hole that Tyler Scarali's making there for him, and just trying to do everything he can to pull away because he does not want to have Joey Haynes sitting right there on his tail.
Yeah, and this is a big train starting to develop here. 3rd all the way down to 7th. That's Nick Horvath who's having a move on. Fernando Rodriguez in the back trying to see if there's anything to be had there. He's going to have to back out of it as they go into NGK. This is the World Endurance layout, so it's not nearly as tight of a chicane there, but still very tricky to get a pass done.
Yeah, this is one of those spots, or that is one of those spots, I should say, where you could pick up one of those incident points, because if you're on that absolute last millimeter trying to run through there, you're going to get a fast time. If you're a little bit off, the car becomes a little unstable.
Oh, contact! That's Haynes and Kita. Kita getting the worst of it, but Haynes also being collected. They're going to fall down through the order. It also looks like Fernando Rodriguez tapped out in it as well.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That's what I was talking about right at the start when I was saying you've got to have a clean race. There's so many spots on this track just like that where you come in there, multiple ways to get through those corners, and it'll just take you by surprise if you're not really watching out for it.
And Rodriguez very, very slow coming through the Mercedes arena. We jump back to check out the replay there. Ooh, that may be a little bit of suspension damage on Rodriguez's machine. Let's watch this play out. It just looked like a little bit of miscommunication, Michael.
Yeah, sometimes you go into these corners and you think you know what they're going to do, but something happens in front. As we watch just a little bit of slow-mo here, getting the car turned in, he's in a good position. I'm thinking the trailing car was going just a little bit too hot. Joey Haynes taking it a little bit hotter, looking for a different exit position, because like I said earlier, there are multiple lines through every corner here, and that's one of the ones that has about 6.
Oh, and Haynes has had a problem. Haynes very wide coming through the Warsteiner curve, and that's going to slow him down. Steven Ritter's looking very, very hungry, and he is able to get by it. Meanwhile, behind him, that is Heffernan and Kita dicing it up. Heffernan able to get by Kita. Haynes trying to have a little bit of a look here into NGK, but nothing doing.
Nope, not today. The NGK corner is a tough place to try to do anything because it is such a fast corner. The way to get it, though, is right here coming into that final Coca-Cola corner.
We ride on board with 8th place Brad Miller, who's sitting in the popcorn position to all of these battles. Kita thinking about trying to get by, but nothing able to do there. A little bit of a poke to the inside for Joey Haynes. Late dive there for Takeshi Kita. I don't think that was a full send on the move. That was just trying to see if he could get Heffernan offline.
Yeah, that may be a little bit of the mind game that you like to play when you get into these battles. So you want to fill up their mirrors. You want to make them think that you are faster, even though you may not be. You may be dead on, absolutely 10th for 10th through every part of the track. But if you get into the mirrors, you get into their head.
And just a quick recap from that second lap incident, Rodriguez and Horvath both down pit lane right now. Oh, is that James Holland around? Holland around coming through the arena section.
Oh, arena section's another one of those tough spots. Let's take a look at the GSRC replay as we watch them come through here. Just getting onto that outside, bring the nose in, try to slow down. This is a very slow corner. People often try to overdo it, and then they get the power down too quick right here. There you go, right around, because you just don't have the grip. You really need to use that spot in the lower part of your screen right there to use as runoff for that, but don't get past that white line or you are going to get an incident point for being off track.
Indeed, and that was the incident point there picked up. A couple of decent battles starting to develop up front. Looks like Steven Ritter's having to play a lot of defense here from Joey Haynes, who is really on the attack for Evolve Sim Sports Academy. He's going to have a dive down into Coca-Cola. It's not every day that you see that, but Haynes able to get the power down. That's going to be a little bit more momentum here for Steven Ritter's, but Haynes showing he has got some grit today.
You get a good run through NGK and the person you're trying to pass doesn't quite get it. Oh, is he going to try to go around the outside? Oh, just trying to get into those mirrors like I was talking before. But you see that different line right there. They took very different lines going through that corner, and that's going to set things up differently right here as we come into the Mercedes arena.
And Haynes trying to find it behind him. Takeshi Kita able to get by Heffernan. Broomhead having a little bit of a blink behind him. Haynes trying to get the run out of the arena there. He looks like he's got a good little path here going down into Valvoline. He's going to poke his nose to the inside. Tries to stick it out. Little bit of elbows out there from Joey Haynes on Steven Ritter's, and Haynes is on through.
Ooh, Haynes making his way through there. That's a really tough pass to make stick, because right now, coming down into Dunlop, this is another one of those fantastic braking zones or passing zones that under braking, you've got a couple of options and you can change your mind once you get into braking where you actually want to go. As we watch them run up through the Schumacher S, power down, lots of downforce. They don't even have to slow down for that.
Yeah, they just absolutely fly through there, but you do have to get onto the binders going down into the Michelin curve here and again in through Warsteiner. There they go. Ritter's doing a good job of keeping up close behind Haynes, but it was really and truly the latter section of this lap that Haynes was able to scamper up to the backside of Steven Ritter's. Ritter's starting to poke his nose a little bit. His teammate Takeshi Kita getting very interested as well.
Takeshi's been working his way through here. He's sitting there right on the tail or nose to tail with his teammate. He wants to get back up to where he feels like he should be before that incident. So I would not find any shock in any of the fans out there if they're watching Takita right now trying to make that push through. We'll see where he ends up at the end of the race. But as we all know, Mr. Sneaky always finds a way to make it happen.
Does indeed. A little bit of a narrow line there up ahead for Steven Ritter's, taking a lot of that entry curve. But as you said earlier, Michael, many different ways to go through the Haug hook and no upset on the car. Taking a little bit more speed into the corner there as they go through Mercedes, trying to carry it out. We ride on board with Joey Haynes now looking back as there you see Ritter's and Kita. Kita now looking to get very interested in his teammate as Haynes starts to pull away a little bit here.
Yeah, I'm thinking Takeshi didn't have too much of an issue with that contact early on. His car seems to be turning some pretty decent laps, so I'm not too concerned that he's going to be falling off. His teammate, though, is probably concerned that he's getting impatient at this point, wants to get around him. They are very close. Right now, they are under half a second, only about 4/10 between them. And, well, you know who's next? Joey Haynes. He's going to go for him.
Yes, he is. That gap starting to shrink down even more between Ritter's and Kita as they way through the Schumacher S and get into the braking zone. Both Atomic Racing drivers going very, very wide. Here we got a little bit of a pass. This is Swindells trying to get a move on Jonathan Almanar down into the curve. There, he's got it. A little bit of a trend starting to develop, but Almanar fighting back a little bit around the outside.
Trying to take that corner back. That's a really good place to make a repass. So when you come through Warsteiner right there, working your way downhill, you've got the attack going up to NGK. As we notice, Andrew Hardman turning yet another fastest. Oh, no. Sorry. Robert Ridgway says, no, I'll take that fastest lap. But let's watch these guys get down into Coca-Cola here.
And we've got a big hornet's nest right beside. That's Carter, Gore, and Doherty absolutely dicing it out. Gore going to try to poke his nose to the inside now on James Carter. That is going to be Johnny Luna that he's trying to steal the draft from. This is the battle for 16th and 15th right now. Gore's got to be later on the brakes, but not able to get it in the first stage of braking. May be able to get it in the second stage as he tries to get his way by Carter. Carter's going to now have the preferred line as they work their way into the Mercedes arena. Gore just trying to carry momentum around the outside, but not able to get it to work.
Got an opportunity right here for over-under, but not going to quite get there. I think it was just a little bit too good on the defense right there from the lead driver. So we do have another opportunity right here. Much better launch coming out of the Mercedes arena, trying to get down into this. He had an opportunity. I don't think he has the top end, though. He may have a little bit too much downforce to make that one happen.
Well, and we haven't really talked about any setup differences that you can go there, Michael. Is this a track where you want to try to find that middle ground, or is it better to go hard into high downforce or low downforce?
Well, you've just stumbled onto a religious argument at this track. It's tough because there are some beautifully long straightaways to really take advantage of here. But if you take a look at the track map, you can pull it up 100 places online. Take a look at the track map, and you'll see these really tight corners. You've got a couple of hairpin-like corners, at least two. There's Dunlop, there's Coca-Cola. You've got some beautiful sweepers that you go flying through, the Schumacher S. You really need downforce to make it happen. Like we were saying earlier, they're going through there without lifting. That is full throttle going through there. As we watch, I believe this is coming up to the, this is coming up to NGK right here. Another one of those spots where the downforce really helps you, but if you're stuck behind somebody, it's going to really mess you up because now they've got no downforce and are able to pull away from you on this long pit straightaway.
And here as they come onto the long pit straightaway again, Tyler Gore looking to be on the attack here. He's going to poke his nose to the inside yet again on James Carter, trying to see if there was anything to be had. Whoa! Getting a little bit close for comfort, especially considering I think that was a little bit of a lockup for Carter coming through the corner. The Atomic Racing Neutron driver doing a fantastic job to keep Gore at bay here, but they don't want to fight too long. Phil Amaro and Johnny Luna are scrapping just up ahead of this pair, and they want to keep involved in that battle.
Yeah, I think Gore may have taken some private lessons from somebody I've taught because he took exactly the line that I prescribe people to take through there. When you come off Coca-Cola, you want a straight line. You make your straight line. You don't sit on that left side and follow it all the way down. That lengthens the track. You really want that straight line to shorten the track as much as you can get, especially if you're running, my preference, a slightly higher downforce at this track.
All right, well, we jump you back up to this battle for P2. This is Robert Ridgway and Tyler Scarali. Now, remember, this is very, very important here for Ridgway. He wants to try to maximize points here to try to keep that battle between himself and Andrew Hardman close. Scarali sitting back in 7th in the points championship. I get the sense he is just fighting for a podium. He wants to try to get this position.
Oh, it's always just you're ready to do a shoey when you get on the podium, regardless of which position you're in. You can be in first, you can be in third. It doesn't matter. You are excited to be there. So Tyler Scarali right now, good racer. We've watched him week after week get in there and really put forth a good performance. He's going to be happy to be on the podium, but you know what? He wants P2 better than he wants P3. And if any luck were to happen and he got it to P1, I'm sure he'd be even more elated.
Exactly. Jumping back here to the battle for P9 right now. This is Max Chablis, who is looking pretty aggressive going down into the Haug hook. Had to back out a little bit of it. He's trying to get by Brad Miller directly ahead of him, and they're about 0.6 apart right now.
Yeah, these guys are just trying to hold on to positions right now. They may be waiting to bring this battle a little bit later. You kind of set up what you want to do. You feel everyone out to find out how are they going to react to the different things. And everyone's sort of settled in now, so you know who you're going to be racing. So once this happens, we get into our pit rotation, and then it's time to really put the hammer down as we watch them heading up towards the Schumacher S right now. Again, full throttle through here. Even the trailing car, no problem. Full throttle. You don't even lift coming through here. Nope, full throttle, hammer down the whole way through.
All right. right, as they continue to go on that. And Michael, you are obviously the expert on this track, as that's Chablis running a little bit wide. That's going to scupper some of his chances. When you're looking at this track, undercut, overcut, tires, what are you thinking? Hold on, before we answer that question, let's focus here. Gore continuing to try to get by James Carter as they work their way down into Michelin. This is just a battle that won't die.
This is a really good battle. I've been watching this battle on my side monitor because even though we're watching something else, this is the one to come back to. There's stuff continuing to happen here. Watch his score. He's putting his nose out there, letting him know that he's here. Backs off a little bit because he doesn't want to get too tight in there. But man, he comes out of NGK fast. Going into the Coca-Cola corner, he's going to get right up on there. Got a much better line through Coca-Cola. Puts his foot through the floor, trying to catch up to him now, sticking right in that giant hole created by the car in front of him.
And he's going to just have a little bit of a fade there. Not enough to really take the move, does Tyler Gore. Oh, that's a wide run. Here comes Gore, trying to see if he's got anything for James Carter now as they work their way through the Mercedes-Benz arena. Maybe a little bit of a crossover there. No, Gore's going to just try to carry as much momentum as they can. They've got to be careful, though. Greg Doucette has been able to close the gap down behind to less than a tenth of a second. But Gore is now starting to close in about 2/10 now between himself and Carter. Can he maybe have a look going down into Valvoline? No, he is going to back it off.
Backing it off, trying to get right up under their next really good passing opportunity coming up right here as they come down. Look at him putting the nose out there as they go through the corner. Does he get overlapped? Does he have it? Is he going to make it under braking? No, tucks in behind him. Almost makes contact. That was a tight one, but coming out of the corner, really going for it this time, up through the Schumacher S's. Oh, the next passing opportunity is going to be really interesting. I think we may see something by the end of the lap.
We may indeed. Let's keep our eyes here as this battle continues to rage on. Gore just trying to poke and prod his way around to see if there is anything to do. Runs a little bit wide there, coming out of Michelin as they go down into Warsteiner, and that is Doucette all over the back of Gore as Gore pushed a little bit too hard at this point.
It's interesting. Gore's got so much speed in the other tight sections, but when he goes from Michelin to Warsteiner, he really falls off. Oh, as Doucette tries to make a look down the inside, going through NGK. Tough place to make a pass, but assert a little bit of dominance. He might be able to make it happen now, but it looks like Gore has gone into the pits.
All right, so Tyler Gore, the first driver here to take what we think is a scheduled stop. Meanwhile, up front in P5, Takeshi Kita being brave on the brakes, going down into the Haug hook, able to take P5 away from his teammate, Steven Ritters.
I think that's probably a little team orders going on. They communicated back and forth, said, hey, look, I got the speed right now. Let me take this. I'll pull you through. But remember, I told you what he was like before. He's just that guy who can cut through the traffic, finds the holes to take the car through. And I think Steven Ritters is smart to sit in behind him and be the beneficiary of Mr. Sneaky's moves.
Indeed, as Tyler Gore comes out of pit lane, 4.9 second stop right there. Fuel only, especially with these cooler conditions. I've got to think that is the way to go.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to need to change tires today unless they spun the car several times and really took a beating on those tires. Otherwise, really don't need to change tires at this track. You can run hours and hours. This is an endurance track. Formula One runs 2 hours here. Yes, they go through 2 sets of tires according to the regulations. But when you watch WEC or any of the other endurance series, they're always running really, really long double, triple stints sometime.
All right, so not necessarily that abrasive of a track. That is good to keep in mind. We continue to watch here. This is your leader, Andrew Hardman. We haven't really had a chance to talk about him too much because he has just been absolutely dominant, Michael.
Yeah, I think Andrew's at a point right now where he has enough of a lead where he can just play. He can sit out there and decide that, oh, I'm going to keep the gap at 3.8 this lap. I'm going to let him get out to, I'm going to get it out to 4.1, but then I need to cool off my tires a little bit. It'll get down to 3.6. But he's just sitting out there enjoying his race. He doesn't have to fight anybody. He doesn't have to work too hard until we get to some lap traffic. Once we get to some lap traffic, things may change a little bit. But for now, he's got kind of his own story to write.
Indeed he does. Who doesn't have his own story to write as they continue to battle on. Here are these two drivers that we watch. This is Max Chablis trying to hold on to the back here, the best of his ability, working his way along.
Yeah, Max having a little bit of trouble, I think, at this track. He typically is running up in that P5, P3, P2 range. We usually see him a little closer to the front. I think this track just isn't playing the song that he likes.
Well, and how common is that around here, Michael? This is a little bit of a unique track in that sense. There's not a lot that look like it in the world. How much of this track is one of those things where you either love it or you hate it?
Well, I've made mention before that every track has a song, every track has a rhythm. And you go to Road America, you go to Circuit of the Americas, you go to Sonoma, you go to anywhere, and you really get into this groove, you get into the feel of it. But being in southern Germany, I think this one is, or southern-ish Germany, this one is a little more of a polka that not everybody's quite used to.
All right, a little bit of a polka that not everybody's used to. I like that. I quite like that a lot. As we watch here, drivers continuing to work their way around. This is Robert Ridgway in second. Scarali was very close behind him, not able to keep up that gap. It looks like Scarali just falling back a little bit.
Yeah, Scarali may be trying to hold back a little bit, not try to get too far up underneath Robert Ridgway's wing, because it will give you that little bit of extra scrub. You don't want that necessarily. The tires will last. This is only a 40-minute race, so these tires will last. But if you've got 75% versus 85%, and that 75 is basically because you were under somebody's wing for too long, you actually need that extra 10% on that last lap when you're trying to make that pass for the lead.
Indeed, as it looks like he may be out there. What can you really do, obviously, if you've used a little bit too much of the tires? Are you able to back them off a little bit and cool them down here in these Formula 3s, and will that give you a little bit more life? Or is it a situation where if you burn them, you're done?
Well, once you've worn it off, it's pretty much gone. Now, if you've overheated them, you can get it back, but it depends on the track. It depends on the track temperature. It depends on the surface. It depends on your setup. How much rake do you have? How much wing do you have? Sometimes, actually, more wing will give you a better opportunity because it will help the tires work more evenly and less slide. So if you're sliding the car through the corners, it's going to wear more than if you have a little more downforce and you're able to keep the car relatively planted and only like a 1.5 degree slip angle as opposed to a 3 or 4.
All right, well, some good information there. I was feverishly jotting down notes to try to help myself a little bit. This is a little bit of a battle that we've got back down in the field. This is James Holland, Phil Amaro trying to close back on behind him. Amaro for the Flying Husky Racing team, trying to see what he can do here as they work their way into NGK. Obviously, that smoother chicane here on the WEC layout, a lot easier to go through, not nearly as disgruntling, let's call it, as the super tight chicane.
Yeah, you get to brake a lot later around that 50 marker because you're not making a 90-degree left and a 90-degree right, or close to. You're making more of about a 35, 40-degree cut through. It almost feels like you're just kind of changing lanes very quickly, but you still have to slow down to make it through there.
As we've got a couple of more drivers opting to come down pit lane. Johnny Luna, Tyler Gore, Greg Doucette. Gore obviously in a couple of laps earlier than that. All of those drivers out of McDonald as well opting to go down pit lane. There is McDonald. That was a very, very slow stop, it seemed, for Adam McDonald. Excuse me, not necessarily the slowest of stops, but a long time lost cone to cone there for McDonald, almost 2 seconds later. So that's going to drop him all the way down to 24th position. As I want to jump you around here a little bit, so we've got a little bit of a battle for P11. Richard Swindells trying to close in on the back of Brad Miller. This has started to come down a little bit. This battle starting to get a little intense. Swindells taking a narrower line there off of Warsteiner.
Yeah, heading through there, Swindells really wants to get back up there with Rob Campbell. Rob is his teammate, the two Canadian drivers. They really need to get back together. They tend to drive better when they are nose to tail. They have kind of a symbiotic thing going on. when I watch them, even in other leagues, I actually raced with these guys earlier this week at Spa in the TCR cars, and they just like to be together. And I swear, you put them together, it's Wonder Twin powers activate. Man, they're fast.
They certainly are, and they've got a little bit of work to do as they've got about 4 seconds up the road to Rob Campbell to try to catch in on them, but hopefully those Wonder Twin powers will be able to play out well for these two drivers. Waiting here for pit stops to start to fire off. We've only got about 7 laps to go, and ask and you shall appear. There is Phil Amaro coming down pit lane, breaking up one of those other battles that we were witnessing earlier.
Yeah, I gotta love that Husky on the front, on the nose of that car. Every time I see it, I want to giggle. It's just, it makes me kind of giggle a little bit. Very short stop though, 4.6 seconds. That might be our fastest stop. I think before that was Tyler Gord, about 4.8. 4.6 for Phil Amaro. He may be saving fuel later. We'll watch him closer to the end of the race to see how it goes.
Well, how easy of a track is this to really save around? Obviously, a couple of heavy braking zones that you've got to get into as we watch your leader there, Andrew Hardman, working his way around for another lap. But is this a track that it's relatively easy to save on, or do you really have to work for it, Michael?
Well, saving fuel is always something you have to work for. Honestly, anytime you're racing, sometimes you can put the car into a different mode, put the fuel map into a different mode. But the easiest way to do it, lift and coast. And lift and coast is really easy here. This is the track that I really got good at saving fuel using only lift and coast. I had heard of it, I had used it, kind of tried to get an idea, but it didn't really do a lot. And then I put my mind to it, and I was doing a series here, and I was working, and they short filled me, and I had to go an extra lap. I made it because I did that lift and coast the right way.
And we have had a big development up front. Robert Ridgway having an off coming down through the NGK chicane. He just caught the inside sausage curb, and that sent him for a ride around the outside of Coca-Cola. That has allowed for Robert Ridgway to fall down to third, Tyler Scarali to claim second. Here is the incident, a little bit out of line there, and then a big clobber.
Ooh, way too much curb, and that's a tough place to get it. That's what I was talking about before, where you have to be millimeter perfect going through the NGK chicane, because if you don't get it right, you're going to be in the grass trying to negotiate the entry to Coca-Cola. That's not a good place to make you turn in from. So we watch him right here. Just gets a little bit too much of that inside. Oh, and the second part of that. Just a tough day for him.
Yeah, tough day there, and that was really all precipitated by the fact that he just missed coming in there a little bit. It looked like that car wanted to step out on him going down into the braking zone, and just completely whiffing on that. But now as we come down here, 8 laps or so to go remaining in this race, not a whole lot. I was going to wonder if Ridgway was going to come on in, maybe take a little bit of a mental reset here.
Absolutely. I was just about to say that. After you've had an incident like that, and you're inside your pit window, take the pit. Call the pit crew, say, guys, I'm boxing this lap. I need to reset my brain. Let's get the fuel in and tires if you need it. As Takeshi Kita, look at that. Mr. Sneaky, 146.207, going for the fastest lap.
All right, having a couple of more drivers peeling off down pit lane. Rob Campbell's going to break up his little battle with Max Chablis to come down as well as Robert Ridgway, 4.5 seconds, right about in line with what we've seen. So a good time there for him. Pretty quick cone to cone, so he should be pretty pleased with that lap. Campbell Swindells also coming down pit lane as well as Devin Lamke.
Yeah, right now we're going to see the rest of the field coming in. We've had all our early pit stops started off by Tyler Gore. Everybody else should be considering making it to the pits right now. This is the time you need. Only 7 laps to go. Get that little splash of fuel and get back out there. But, you want to make that cone-to-cone time as good as you can. We've seen some as high as 31 seconds. But, those 28.5-second ones, those are a lot nicer.
Indeed, they are. Waiting to see here if your leader, Andrew Hardman, will be coming down. Going to be interesting here to see if he's been able to save a little bit of fuel. I've got to think he's been able to do some mega lifting and coasting with only 7 laps to go. He works his way down through the NGK chicane right now. Perfect line through that corner, and he is going to opt to come down through the pits.
Very nice entry. Very fast coming into the entrance right there. It's incredibly difficult, and sometimes it's funny. You'll see passes made there, which are immediately gone. But when you make that run down into that that pit entry there, you will actually get ahead of the car that's right in front of you. So we've got a whole train, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, that's smoke. 5 cars making their way into the pits.
Indeed, Scarali, Haynes, Kita, Ritters. I'm seeing Broomhead coming down as well. Colin Heffernan waiting for Robert Ridgway, but I believe Ridgway to come back around. Rather, he is your highest pitter at this point. Hardman in and out of the box, no problems. He will continue to maintain the lead of this race. The real battle here is going to be with Robert Ridgway to see where he comes out in regards to Tyler Scarali and the other drivers. Scarali out well in advance. Ridgway going to be able to get ahead of Takeshi Kita. Ritters having a nice little gap there. It looks like everything is pretty much maintaining as the status quo, minus what is now a 3-second advantage for Tyler Scarali in P2.
Yeah, that 3 seconds is going to make a big difference with only, how many laps do we have? 6 now? That's got to be a half a second a lap that Ridgway's got to make up. That's a lot.
And we've had contact in the back between, I believe that was Johnny Luna and Tyler Gore coming through the engine, coming through Coca-Cola. Both drivers off and into the kitty litter.
Oh, that's going to drag a little bit of that kitty litter out onto the track too. iRacing does give you that residual stuff out there. Watching them going down into the NGK chicane, a little bit offline, still making it through, trying to use all the track, going up the inside and just a little bit too over aggressive, trying to get up on the inside. Had he been a tiny bit to the right, I think he could have actually made that.
I think I've got to agree with you there, as pit stops have really got some good battles starting to develop. Let's ride on board and check this out, though, with Sean Duhamel. He was in the popcorn position to all of this. Yeah, you just saw Luna there braking a little bit earlier than Gore thought. Whew, nice avoid there for Sean Duhamel. But I want to jump you back live to the battle for P6. This is Colin Heffernan, Michael Broomhead all over his rear wing.
Yeah, Colin doing a good job today. He is up 6 positions. Michael Broomhead, well, he's down 3, trying to work his way back up. He's got the speed, but Colin Heffernan has done a brilliant job really working the crowd, trying to rise up through the ranks here and get up to the pointy end of this field.
Yes, he is. Broomhead thinking about a move there, potentially going down into the NGK chicane. Not going to have it done there. He is going to stay in line through Coca-Cola. Opts to take a little bit of a later apex coming through to try to carry some more momentum. That's going to lose him about a half a tenth, but he'll be able to gain that back up easily in the draft. Here comes Broomhead thinking about the move to the inside. A little bit of a blink there for the driver of the #1 machine. He's going to have to be later on the binders, going down into the hook, and he's got it.
Got around him, got a good line, a nice defensive position, and honestly, the blinking, that keeps you away. I don't recommend it because sometimes you just blink away and don't come back, but I know when I'm racing someone in iRacing and I come up and they start blinking, I give them a wide berth because you never know where they're going to reappear.
Indeed. So maybe a little bit of that internet connectivity playing out in an advantage there for Michael Broomhead, as he continues to work his way around. Here's another battle that we've got back for P14. This is Duhamel, Doucette, and Haynes.
Yeah, these 3 have been battling out quite a bit over the last couple of laps. These guys are tight. I mean, we're looking at under a half a second. This is a similar battle to what we saw before. This little trio here really doing everything they can to make it exciting for sure, but get their way back up to the front. These guys want to be part of the top 10. Sitting back just outside of it is really crushing, and you put down that extra little bit of metal. You use every last little bit of track that you can, as we watch right there, uses all that exit of the Dunlop going up into the Schumacher S, trying to make anything happen that he can, put a little pressure on the guys all around.
Exactly, just poking your nose this way and that, seeing if you can force a mistake. That tends to be the name of the game here in a lot of these Formula 3 battles. As there you see Haynes starting to close up a little bit back through Warsteiner, trying to see if there's anything to be had. Haynes carrying a lot of speed off at the corner as they get their way through Advan now. He may be close enough to have a little bit of a look here at NGK. He certainly thinks that Doucette thought it because he went defensive there into the corner, but I think what we're going to see here from Joey Haynes is what we've seen happen many times in the past. Later apex through Coca-Cola, carry that momentum and just try to get on the loud pedal.
Yeah, the hard part here is Joey Haynes and Greg Doucette. Haynes wants to get around, but Doucette still had a little bit of draft Does he still hold on to it? No. He gets up on the inside, decides, nope, this is going to be mine. I think this is a setup difference where we've got high downforce, low downforce going on.
Well, and remember, Haynes was running way up forward in the field, and he now is having to scrabble his way back forward. He is down 9 on the day. He's got Duhamel right ahead of him now, but he is just going to have to see if he can pull out here over Doucette and try to extend that advantage while he battles with Sean Duhamel.
Yeah, Doucette's not going to take this lying down, though. I think he really wants to get back up on here. If you watch, he's closed back up. And as we come out of the corner, he is doing everything he can right now. Oh, and we may have a pass happening right here. Let's take a look.
We go back to check out the replay here. This is the 77 of Robert Ridgway able to get by his teammate of Steven Ritter's. Looked like maybe a little bit of a blink. Oh, that's what it was, is it was Ridgway having a big off.
But Ridgway is still doing everything he knows how to do. He's really put his nose to the grindstone, realizes, hey, I made a mistake. Oh, Takeshi Kita makes his way around too. That puts Takeshi Kita in P3.
It does indeed. So sorry we missed that, but yeah, Kita up into third. Maybe a little bit of a battle starting to develop, or Ridgway's tire's completely gone, but Ridgway's got to be a little bit careful. That is Steven Ritter's there behind, about 2 seconds back, so if these two squabble too much, that could put both of them into the clutches of the number 27 of Steven Ritter's.
Yeah, Steven Ritter's really good driver. We've seen him at this end of the race put down some blazing laps, finding his way back up to the top. I think he still has it in him to make it happen. Only 3 laps to go. The gaps are kind of wide, but you know what? I can't put anything beyond any of these drivers. At this top 10, top 15 even, too many good drivers out there to try to make any predictions.
Exactly, and as we've seen here at the Nürburgring, just about anything can happen at any exact moment. As they go around here, Kita holding on to that third place position that I believe will be his second podium of the year for Takeshi Kita. He, we believe, podiumed earlier in the year in Snetterton, and Kita currently sitting back in 8th in the championship.
Yeah, Takita doing a good job right here. Got Ridgway closing up fairly quickly, though. They've got about a second between them, little under a second, about 8/10 right now. It's going to be tight. I wonder if these guys have the same setup or if they've tweaked a little bit in what their preferences might be.
Well, they are teammates, remember, so that is an interesting question to raise as they work their way around. Only 2 laps to go. Want to jump you back. That battle with Duhamel and Doucette that we were sort of foreshadowing, it has come to the fore. Doucette all over the back of the wing of the 617.
Yeah, Doucette also having some internet issues now. Think he's fairly resolved. He looks a little bit cleaner now than he was earlier, but really trying to close back up, get in there as tight as he possibly can so he gets under the wing to make the run down to the first corner.
He lost a little bit of time there, but he's able to keep the gap under 0.5 of a second right here. Don't think he's going to be able to have the move done and dusted going down into the corner of the Haug hook, but he's certainly going to try to keep the pressure on the Viking Hot Rod Racing driver up ahead of him.
And this is, once again, where we come back to that high downforce, low downforce. Looks like he may be running a higher downforce, which is going to really play into his strength or his setup strength at this point of the track. All the way through here, down, all the way down to the Dunlop curve. So let's watch to see what happens here. He's really trying to set him up. If he can get him by Dunlop, he could possibly hold on to it to the end of the lap.
Yes, he could. And your leader, by the way, getting ready to cross over here to go to take the white flag. There he is, Andrew Hardman. 1 lap here to go to take what will be his, if my math is correct, 5th victory out of 7 races. It's been an absolute dominant performance here for this driver for the Britannia iSports team.
Yeah, and you know what? You never get tired of being in first place. It's the top stuff. You never get tired of being on the podium. And I've had people ask me that before. You know, oh, are you tired of being third place? You've had 6 of them in a row or whatever. It's like, no, not at all. I like being on the podium. Doesn't matter what position it is. I'm sure Andrew's probably just giggling to himself right now, going, I think I'm going to get another one.
Indeed. We're going back to check out the replay here because Greg Doucette appears to have had a problem. This is coming out here, going down into Michelin. Ooh, just carried too much speed into the corner, and that rear end wanted to break away on him.
Yeah, he may have caught a little bit of the inside curbing there, depending on how you have the dampers set up on these cars. We talk a lot about the downforce setup, but it's really the damper setup that makes a difference when you go across those bits of curb.
Yes, it was, but the man who doesn't have to worry about the dampers for too much longer, that is Andrew Hardman. Hardman here going to be crossing over here in these last couple of sectors, coming out of the advent curve, going down into NGK for one more time. The number 11 has one more corner to go as Barney the flagman holds that checkered flag in his hands and starts to wave it here for the Britannia iSports number 11 machine. This is Andrew Hardman taking victory at the Nürburgring, a whopping 9 seconds ahead of his closest competition, Tyler Scarali. Scarali just now crossing over the line. Behind him, it is Takeshi Kita, Robert Ridgway, and did Ridgway run out of fuel? Ridgway's out of fuel!
Oh, short-fueled, out of fuel as Ritters takes P4 away from him at the line.
Oh, absolutely heartbreaking there for Robert Ridgway. Let's listen in. No, that wasn't running out of fuel. Excuse me. He just had a little bit of a bobble there, and there he starts to run out of fuel. You can hear the chart code. I think he may have given the position away potentially. Yeah. That may have been a sportsman maneuver. Changing around there because, well, I'm not sure why he would do that, to be honest.
Yeah, let's take a look at the results here.
Indeed. Well, as we said, taking victory here, it was Andrew Hardman, followed by Tyler Scarali with Takeshi Kita rounding out your podium position. Stephen Ritters was 4th, followed by Ridgway in 5th. Michael Broomhead recovering after a rough start to come home in 6th, with Colin Heffernan in 7th, Rob Campbell 8th, Brad Miller 9th, and Richard Swindells rounding out your top 10.
Dave Peterson's going to be in P11 with James Carter right behind him. Max Chablis coming in P13. Joey Haynes struggling his way back through, making it up to 14th. Sean Duhamel 15th. James Doherty, Devin Lemke, Greg Doucette having a nice battle out is in 18th. Johnny Luna 19th. Phil Amaro in P20.
In 21st position, it was Tyler Gore, followed by Donald Olson, with Jonathan Almanar in 23rd and Adam McDonald in 24th. 25th, it was Matthew Gunderson, with James Holland, Nick Horvath, Fernando Rodriguez, and Calvin Lee, both ending up as DNFs here on the day. But without further ado, we have your winner, 5 races out of 7. Andrew, another dominant performance out of you.
Yeah, it was really good. We really gelled with the track this week on Team Britannia. We found an awesome setup and we worked well together. So yeah, it was a real recipe for an awesome result, and we nailed it 1-2. So shout out to my guy Tyler, and also to Mike for the good comeback drive.
Well, we were kind of joking a little bit here with my co-commentator Michael Johnson about if winning ever gets old. I have to ask you, you got 5 out of 7. Does it?
No, I can't say it does. I mean, these guys push me to the limit every race. It might look easy from being out front, but I'm pushing as hard as I can and working out through the week to get this speed. So no, it certainly doesn't get old.
Well, that's good to hear. As we look ahead, we head to Sebring next, a little bit bumpier of a track. Do you think you'll be able to continue your winning ways there?
I sure hope so. It's an interesting track to drive, especially with these F3 cars. I'm hoping we can find a setup early in the week and get comfortable with it. So it should be a good one.
Well, we wish you all the best of luck when you get there. Anybody you want to thank for the victory today?
Yeah, of course, the team, Tyler and Mike, we did an awesome job this weekend in the setup, and you guys for putting on the great show, the organizers of PRL as well. This has been a great league to start out with in my first year, and I hope for many more seasons of awesome racing.
Well, we wish you all the best of luck. That was Andrew Hardman, your victor here today at the Nürburgring. And now, Michael, I believe you've caught up with our second place finisher, Tyler Scarali.
Indeed, I have. Tyler, welcome to the booth. Nice start, nice starting in P2 and finishing in P2, but the start didn't go quite as planned. A little bit slow off the line. What happened there?
Oh, you know what? Robert he got a great start. I got a pretty average start, I'd say. It wasn't like I was lightning off the line. I just tried to hold Robert there into T1, but he obviously had that outside line, predominantly inside line T2, and it was kind of playing catch up from there. But that was a really fun race, and it was fun to try to chase Robert down.
Yeah, it looked like you guys were having a good time battling each other going through the race there. There were some little back and forth. Even Takeshi Kita sitting on your back for that first part of the race, trying to pressure, get his way up there. How did the race play out based on what you kind of planned? You're like, okay, well, I'm in P2. I don't know if I can catch up to P1. I'm just going to settle for P2 at the end. Or were you just hoping for anything that came your way?
Oh, great question. Yeah, I was in that atomic sandwich there, and Hart was definitely racing a little bit for that. Kita, as you guys all know, Mr. Sneaky, he's a really good driver, and you got to be on your game when he's behind you. And no, I told Andrew, like, we're teammates, and I know he's going for the drivers' championship. I told him I'll be your Sergio to your Max today. I'll do whatever I can to try to keep Ridgeway behind. I mean, obviously I failed that going into turn one, but I think the race honestly ended about as good as it could have been.
Well, you put some really good pressure on there and kept him honest, let's say, through that bit where you were able to stick right there with him. But hey, you pulled out a P2 in the end. Fantastic finish. Who do you have to thank?
Oh, obviously the Britannia guys, Andrew and Mike, my parents, all the boys who you race with, the Evolve guys, everyone in the chat. And yeah, I had a special livery on there. My dog passed away, and Mike made a great livery for that. So I really appreciate that. And obviously you guys for commentary. It's always top notch, and always happy to be here.
Well, we have a great time calling your race. You guys make it such fun. It's amazing. So thank you for putting on a great show for us. But right now, DJ Clark has got Mr. Sneaky himself, Takeshi Kita, ready to talk about that P3 finish.
Takeshi, it seemed like you were constantly involved in battles there up and down the field, but being able to take home your second podium of the season, this has got to be a good feeling.
Yeah, it was a really good race. It was really fun. I had a good time with all the battles in the track.
Well, talk to me a little bit about your improved qualifying pace over the course of this season. You know, we're used to seeing you qualify in the mid-pack and really fight your way through the field, but you've got to be, what is your secret to being able to qualify so well this season?
Well, I have been working on that precisely because I know that's one of my weekends, and to qualify on the first lap are really troublesome for me. So I'm starting to work out on that, and it kind of pays off.
Well, it's clearly paying out well for you. The second podium of the year. Anybody you want to thank for this run?
To my team, Atomic Racing, and my wife.
Well, thank you so much. That was Takeshi Kita, your third place finisher here at the Precision Racing League's Formula 3 Series at the Nürburgring. We are going to take a quick break, but do not go anywhere. We will be back with more PRL action as the Porsche Cup Series takes to Barber.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-Box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works. and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing channel. We are here at Barber Motorsports Park, and this little gem of an American circuit down in Birmingham, Alabama. For those of you who are unfamiliar with it, let's head over to our track guide to learn a few details.
Welcome to Barber Motorsports Park. Located just east of Birmingham, Alabama, this is one of the newer circuits in American road racing. The track was built in 2003 by George Barber to go along with his Barber Vintage Motorsports Museum, which can be seen appropriately from Museum Corner on the track. While the main circuit is the full course, which includes 16 turns over roughly 2.25 miles, there are also two lesser used layouts called the Short A and Short B courses. The track is known for its technical layout and hugely dramatic elevation changes. In every category of racing, it carries a reputation of making overtakes difficult. That's not to say it's impossible, with most passes happening into Charlotte's Web. Named for the spider sculpture outside the hairpin, it often suckers drivers into braking too deep with the sudden drop just as you attempt to slow the car down. That's not the most challenging part of the circuit, though. Museum Corner is reminiscent of turns like the corkscrew, with its blind entry, multiple apexes, and cliff-like plunge down a hill. IndyCar and IMSA have visited many times in the past decade, while motorcycle racing is also a regular staple here. Practice and precision are usually required to be able to find a fast lap, but there's a heavy dose of bravery also needed in a number of spots. Despite the track being very wide, accidents often collect multiple cars due to the lack of visibility over crests. All in all, this place proves tough to even seasoned veterans. But with the hillsides and trees providing beautiful natural viewing spaces and an immaculate facility, it's no wonder fans keep showing up in droves to watch the racing here.
Well, Michael, this is a track that you are very familiar with, so what's it going to be like for these Porsche Cup cars out here?
It's going to be a little bit of a nightmare for these cars. There's not a lot you can do. Now, if you're going to have a nightmare, this is the place you want to do it. It is absolutely by far and away my favorite track in the United States as far as the gorgeous layout. When you're driving through everything, it's like you're going through an Alice in Wonderland dream. But the curbing here, and with the way these cars work with curbing, you have no control over your dampers. They are set the way they are. You can work with ride height, you can work with downforce, you can work with toe. That's about it. So these cars are going to have a hard time around this 2.38 mile, 3.83 kilometer course. And I think the biggest issue is going to be coming up around into that last little bit where it gets tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter up until you get into the last corner of this 16 turn track.
Well, we'll have to see how our drivers take to the track. But before we get to that action, let's run you through the points here. As I said at the very top, it is an incredibly close battle between Rodrigo Mies and Felipe Loyola. Only 3 points separating the two Punta CL Black Racing drivers. Horacio Calquin sits about 18 points back of Mies, and Morales about 10 points back of Calquin, and Riquelme about 10 points back from them. But we also have a teams championship here. And what can you tell us about that, Michael?
Well, it'll be no surprise to anyone. Punto CL Racing Black at 342 points, sitting out front in first position. 170 points back. NinjaTrader Esports having a close battle with the next two, also Punto CL, but the red and the blue at 191 and 198 points back. But just a few points back from there, Simsa Esports brings out P5.
Well, let's run you through the race details for today. It is the 6 of 9 rounds here today. 28 laps around this twisting circuit. And as you said, open setups, but you can't change those dampers. Same as the Formula 3 Series drive-through penalty at 13 incidents and disqualification at 17, with bonus points available for pole, fastest lap, and 3 incidents or less. Watch out. I don't think a lot of people are going to be able to run away without 3 incidents or less around here. But as of right now, the man who is sitting on pole is that man. Second in points, Felipe Loyola. He's got the lead to about a 1/10 of a second over Rodrigo Mies. Enzo Montesinos about 0.3 of a second behind them, and Calquin about 0.4 of a second. So pretty close battles there up at the top, it has to be said.
Yeah, we're not we're not surprised by any of these names. Maybe the order is a little different, but you know what? Go back to P5. Every one of those we see every week, trading who's going to lead for a little while. These guys have some insane levels of skill in the iRacing world. They're really turning some crazy fast laps. And I think Sean Romig, Byron Daly are going to have their work cut out for them if they want to get up and play with these guys. But I would not put it past them, because this track, it just inspires. Every time I've been here, be it in real life or in the sim, I just get this inspiring feeling. I love the way this track talks to you. We talked about the last track with the F3 cars, how, well, maybe it's a polka, but it's still a song. This one is the most beautiful love song you've ever heard in your life. You get out on track and everything flows together. It's a lot of fun.
Well, we will have to see if any drivers are able to connect the notes to make a good melody here to try to get things together. Loyola continues to sit on pole position, not seeing a lot of fastest laps getting put down here as they go around. Loyola bringing that car around that very, very tricky last couple of corners.
Yeah, although I think if I'm watching, it looks like Montesinos may be putting down a pretty good lap at this point. I think Riquelme was trying, but he's not quite there. He's really doing everything he can to get that last little bit out of it. But you know what? Some days it just doesn't come for you.
And the checkered flag is in the air for qualifying, so drivers finishing up their final laps here. We watched Felipe Riquelme as he tries to make his way through those final couple of corners, trying to beat a 1:22 flat. That is his best time. The run down, it looks like he is going to be able to improve there. Yes, he is, to the tune of about 0.2 of a second. It's not going to bump him up at all, but it will be a better time. Enzo Montesinos coming to the line now. He's going to be able to improve as well, and that'll bump him up to P2.
Ooh, I'm sure Mies is wondering what happened there. Why did he let that happen? But you know, some days you want to be in P3. It's the more advantageous position to be in when you're taking off the line, trying to get out into the race.
Well, speaking of that race, we get ready to go here with 8 drivers, Felipe Loyola being the one to lead them off. Enzo Montesinos will be second, followed by Rodrigo Mies, Horacio Calquin. In row 3, it's Felipe Riquelme and Sean Romig, with Byron Daly and Ignacio Fredes behind them. Michael, as we wait for the drivers to grid up here, keys to the race, how do you make it through these first couple of corners nice and easy?
Well, getting into what they like to call the Alabama roller coaster, and if you've ever been out here in a race car, you think you went to a theme park, because it is like a roller coaster going through there. The bottom drops out. You lose a lot of grip, especially on cold tires. You must be careful until those tires get warmed up. And from a standing start, you don't have a lot of opportunity to warm up your tires. Then heading up the hill, heading up that hill, that was the first big crash I had in an IMSA race. I backed off at the wrong time because it was wet and I was only trying to scrub the tires, and well, I hit that wall on the inside. So, you know, with a 66 degree track temperature, 64 degrees in the air, that's 18 and 19 on the Celsius scale, it's going to be chilly. So good luck to these guys trying to get some temperature in those tires.
Indeed, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of deliberate wheel spin off of the line to try to get something going there. Just waiting for the last couple of drivers to come in here. I think we're waiting for Fredes to be the final one to grid up right now. Engines are revving. Here we go. Barney the flagman waves the green flag, and we are racing in Barber. It's a good start for Loyola and Montesinos. It looks like Calquin tried to get a little bit squirrely there in the back with Riquelme, but Mees able to hold on to third place. Drivers very, very soft shoe around here through the Alabama roller coaster, trying to make sure that they can keep everything together. And it looks like everybody through this field is through nice and easy. But Riquelme and Calquin almost side by side through those first couple of corners.
Yeah, right now coming down into Charlotte's Web, this is going to be a great passing opportunity as we watch a little bit of action at the back. It looks like Sean Romig is going to try to get around Byron Daly. Does he make it? Nope, not quite. Can't quite hang on to it.
A little bit of a poke to the inside there for Enzo Montesinos as they make their way down through Museum, one of the most spectacular corners on this spectacular circuit. Everybody starting to line up single file. Whoa, off in the back goes Horatio Calquin.
Oh, Calquin off in the back, but hey, we got a little bit of time left. This is a 40-minute race, 28 laps. He's got time to catch back up, and we've seen Horatio do this before where something has happened, got out a little bit early, but he can make it up. Let's take a look at the replay here.
Well, it looks like he's fine as he comes down into Museum, taking a big chunk of that curb. Car's a little bit unsettled, and then just maybe tries to get on the power a little bit too early. Oh, was that a bump from behind from Romig?
Maybe a bump from behind, but also he missed that first apex. If you notice, when he went down into there, that first apex didn't quite work. I wonder if he got a penalty here. Looks like he's possibly doing a drive-through.
Maybe it would be a drive-through for a jump start would be the only thing I can think of. The only other thing is maybe he is just coming down and calling it a day, potentially. He's coming to a stall, so I'm not sure. Quali fuel. Ooh. He may have put qualification fuel in the car.
Yeah, I got to admit, in iRacing, I've totally done that, and I've paid the price for it. So it could be he put quali fuel in there, and then now he's got to fill up. That's going to really mess him up because that's going to be a second stop in this race for him.
Well, up front, it continues to be Felipe Loyola leading Enzo Montesinos and Rodrigo Mies, with Felipe Riquelme holding on to the back of that train. The gap is only 1.5 seconds between Loyola and Mies, and that really is the battle that we are keeping our eye on here. That battle for the championship, the 07 and the 88, those are the chief protagonists. We've seen Mies be very, very patient in the early stages of races, only to really put the pedal down and muscle his way ahead later on, as that could be what he's thinking to do here.
Yeah, I think you're right. Mies is one of those calculated drivers. He sits back, he lets the car come to him. He does not try to force it. Too many drivers try to force the car to do what they want. This is a dance. Like I said, the track is playing a song for you. You and the car are there to dance to that song. So treat your dance partner well, do what your dance partner wants, and the result can only be positive.
Indeed, but Enzo Montesinos, let's not forget about him. He sits about just under a second of your leader, Felipe Loyola, as they try to streak their way away a little bit here. He's got to try to keep that gap a little bit lower, and I think back for Rodrigo Mies, he needs to try to keep that gap to Montesinos as small as possible because he does not want to lose touch with the leader around here.
Yeah, Loyola making a textbook entry and exit all the way through the museum turn there, doing it absolutely perfect. You could see he caught the inside, caught the next one, caught the next one. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He's just trying to tick off laps right now. He knows he's got Montesinos behind him. Enzo is a good driver. He is an excellent driver. As we watch, just try to close up a little bit here. Now, that's a little bit of an accordion effect, but I actually think Montesinos did close up just a tiny bit because now he's down to 8 tenths. If he can pull off a tenth, every single lap, 10 laps in there, he's all the way back up to it.
And Mies has had a problem. Mies is facing the wrong way. He got it wrong coming out of the final corner. Oh my goodness, disaster for your championship leader here. Let's watch it. Just talk us through this, Michael.
So coming around this final corner here, getting right up onto the curbing, getting set up for the left. You want to hold the car right over there on that right side. You hit this curbing, but if you get too far out right here, and exactly, I knew that was what he did when I saw where he spun. I'm like, he hit that grass on the way out. Now in real life, it's a little bit wider out there. You've got some more room, but iRacing does not give you that room. So if you've driven this in real life and you're going, that doesn't happen there, it does in iRacing.
Oh, well, you could see he was just flirting with disaster even going into that corner, tickling a little bit of the grass on the outside. Here is that outboard view, just brings it in, and wait for that little, there it is, just that little bit, and that's enough to send him around. Barber so unforgiving in that way.
Yeah, it's the ice grass that happens in a lot of the iRacing tracks. You get the grass in some spots, it's fine. I know Hockenheimring, you can hit the grass in a couple of spots. It's no big deal. But tracks like this one, VIR is another one very well known for ice grass. Once it grabs you, and there are times I swear the grass has just reached out onto the track and pulled me over to it because I had no intention of being anywhere near it. Looks like Felipe is trying to battle back with Enzo. Enzo had the fastest lap, but I think Felipe decided, nope, this is Loyola's game. I'm taking this one.
Indeed, as they dive their way down into Charlotte's Web, a little bit of a concertina effect there under braking, but Loyola starting to streak away the gap over a second right now for Felipe as he really starts to try to put the power down here. Although it looks like on the straightaways, that's where Enzo Montesinos is able to close in. That was a little bit of a cut there, I got to think, for Enzo.
Well, you can get away with quite a lot there, so I think he's okay on that one, but now, when you're saying down the straight, yeah, absolutely. There's not a lot of time on the straight on this track. All the straights are very short. So if your strength is on the straight, that's not going to play well for you on the long game of this race. But right now, he's close enough where he's still getting a draft. He's down to 0.8 of a second. He's closed it back up. He was over a second when we started this lap. He's closed it back down. I think he's looking to take that fast lap back away from Loyola.
Very well might be. Yeah, he's got it back under 0.9 of a second right now, and he does, it looks like, take that fastest lap away with the 21.66. That was about 0.2 faster than Loyola ahead of him, so we still have a very interesting race on our hands here between Enzo Montesinos and Felipe Loyola, even though your chief title protagonist, Rodrigo Mies, way down in the field.
Yeah, 13 seconds back for Mies, but again, Mies is a good driver. Like I said before, he's very calculating. He only does what he needs to do. I think that may have just been a little bit of brain fade that happened to him there. He's thinking too far ahead. Maybe there was some communication going on their Discord channel or something, but something took his brain out of it. He wasn't listening to the song that the track is playing and got caught out, but he's going to catch back up. You watch. I think you're going to see him up back in a battle, probably with Raquel May. Oh, maybe right after the pit stops.
Well, he's only got about 4 seconds to try to catch up to him, and he is closing that gap down, so it's certainly a potential. There you could actually see Felipe's, Sean Romig's car just kind of flipping by there, and that is the gap between Romig and Mies, or Raquelme and Mies. I'll get these names right eventually, as they come their way on through. So I think you're about right on that, Michael. If he just really focuses it in here, he can certainly try to pull up ahead.
Yeah, that one lap where he was 10 seconds off and the following lap where he was a little off, those were his mistakes. So that was where he had the spin. That was where he was trying to get his brain back into it. Everything else, he was faster. So watch for Mies to move his way back up. I think Daly and Romig are in for a little bit of a surprise when they see him in the mirror real soon now.
Yeah, they're going to have their hands full, and it'll be interesting to see how he handles that. But this battle up front, not dissipating at all. Enzo Montesinos able to close down here, continuing to bring the gap down to Felipe Loyola in front. It now sits at about 0.6 of a second as they get on the loud pedal out of Museum. I've got to say, Enzo looking very, very strong here.
Yeah, Enzo's looking really good here, but I got to say, if I were his coach on the radio with him right now, I would tell him to start braking a little bit earlier. He's braking later and catching up a little bit under braking, but then he loses it through the middle corner and through the exit. If he could back up his braking just half a car length and not try to overrun that entry, get that power back down, he has a really good position sitting in the draft, and I think he could make up a lap a whole lot better. But hey, look at this. He's only 6.5 tenths off of Loyola right now and turning some beautiful laps.
He really is, and whatever he's doing clearly working for him. Just starting to close up a little bit here. Differing lines there through the Alabama roller coaster, as is wont to be taken through there. It's just kind of a pick your preference type of thing as they go their way through there. The 24. Now you come down into Charlotte's Web. Normal traditional lines there for both drivers as they bring their way out and along. Working on lap 8 here. The gap coming down a little bit more. It's now under on 8 tenths of a second.
Yeah, but watch under braking right here. He's going to close it up under 8 tenths, under 6 tenths, right at that 6 tenths point. Closes it up, but misses the point of trying to get back onto the throttle. Holds it at about 7.5 tenths, 3/4 of a second. But Loyola just gets the power down a little bit better when they come out of the museum corner.
Yeah, and that's going to help him, but still Montesinos able to get the gap down now under 6 tenths of a second. Constantina again under braking. We jump back here. This is starting to be a little bit of a three-way battle as Sean Romig able to get his way by Byron Daly, and Rodrigo Mies, true to form, catching in on Daly now.
Yeah, watch for Mies to be very calculating here. He's not going to make any moves that put him into a bad position. He's already had his one spin that he did not allow himself for this race, so he needs to do everything perfectly. I would not expect, see, look at that right there. He went right to the edge of that curbing, but he's not going over it. He's not going to sit there and dance on that grass anymore.
No, he's not. He knows the limits of his car, knows the limits of the track, and just pushing to the edge of it the best that he can. Takes a little bit of a wider entry there through the roller coaster. Now able to get the power down. That gap coming down under 4 tenths of a second here. It's going to be a little far back, I have to think, to get a move down into Charlotte's Web. And indeed, he's just going to stay in line and try to get the power down here off of the hairpin.
I remember back in early days when I was first racing an IMSA race, coming out of this corner in an ST car, a BMW, I was tapping the back end of a GS car, an Aston Martin, because he was in my way and he wasn't accelerating fast enough. So getting the power down coming out of Charlotte's Web, that is one of the straights you need to have the power down. And why that Aston Martin did not have the power down, I don't know, but my bumper did not fare well out of that as we watch. Ooh, trying to make a little bit of a look. Oh, I think he wants to tell him, hey guy, this is my position. You're slowing me down. Let me get around here. I've got points to capture here.
Exactly, but it doesn't look like Byron Daly has any impetus to give that position up. He does not have to do it by any stretch of the imagination. This is a battle for position out on track. That's the line we expect to see out of Rodrigo Mies as he gets the power down here on the shorter start-finish straightaway, diving down the hill here and bringing it back up again through this fantastic section of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Looking out the rear wing of Sean Romig right now, trying to see if Mies is able to get a better run.
Yeah, watching for a pass at Charlotte's Web. If he's close enough, I don't think he is. He had his nose out there a little bit, trying to say, maybe I can make it, maybe I can't. But I think Daly might just have a little bit too much speed for him to do that. Plus, Romig is giving him a nice big break in the air so that he can work his way down that straightaway a little bit faster and not let Mies catch up too quickly.
Exactly, but these three are all really starting to come together here. Romig looking like he had a better run off of Museum, but that is certainly threatening there from Rodrigo Mies behind as they flick their way through the S's now. Mies trying to get by Daly. Oh, mistake again out of Mies, up and onto the grass.
Oh, that's a shocker for me. I did not expect to see that out of Rodrigo Mies. He is such a calculating driver, such a good. We've seen when he's out front, he just manages gaps beautifully, but right now he's in an unfamiliar position around drivers he's not used to being around. He doesn't know what to expect from them. He's in learning mode, really. He's been in learning mode for 3 or 4 laps now, trying to figure out how do these guys drive? How do I get around them? Can I get around them? Because sometimes it's not enough to be able to make a faster lap. It's where you make a faster lap. And if you're not making it faster in the right points, you'll never make that pass.
Exactly, as they now work their way around here on lap 11. It looks like these gaps have just absolutely stalemated here, and I've got to think Mies is getting very, very frustrated behind the wheel. He knows he's got more outright pace, but as you said, Michael, he just doesn't have the pace where he needs it. That's the best run we've seen him have out of Charlotte's Web. Again, up and onto the grass. That frustration's starting to come through. He's going to have a look down to the inside of Museum. He's really going to try to go, and that's going to send him around.
Oh, that's tough. Again, if I were coaching him, if I were his coach, I would have been on the radio with him right there saying, look, this is not the spot to do it. Take a deep breath. I could see when he came out of Charlotte's Web, we watched him put that wheel out onto the grass. Nevertheless, got a really good run. Watch, right as he comes out here, right through the spot, boom, right there, into the grass. Not the best place to be. That kind of messed him up for here. He may even have a little bit of grass residue left on there. Just couldn't pinch the car around through that corner. Nothing the other driver did was wrong. That was just being a little bit over aggressive trying to get in there.
And this is going to put him a full 6 seconds behind, but we're going to jump you back up to the battle for the top spot here as Enzo Montesinos has been able to continue to close down that gap. You can see it there. A little bit of a mistake there on the last lap, but just slowly but surely bringing this gap down. It now holds at about 0.5 of a second.
Yeah, takes 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. It's kind of tough. This is a really tight battle. Both of these drivers excellent at calculating what they need to do. Montesinos knows where he's faster, but like we were talking with Mies, is he faster in the places he needs to be faster? And is he getting slowed down in other spots that he really doesn't need to be slowed down in? It can be frustrating when you've set up your car a certain way and the driver you're battling against is exactly the opposite and you just can't do it. So watch him coming around this corner here. This keeps getting tighter and tighter and tighter and uphill, and then it flattens out and you got to hold it right to the right side, then back around to the left. You're loading up the other side of the car. It's almost a jerk to feel the car roll over to that other side and then get the power down without getting onto that grass on the outside.
And it looks there a little bit like that Montesinos has fallen back a little bit, but we're going to jump back to the battle for P4. Bad news, by the way, for fans of Rodrigo Mies. He has called it a day after those spins. Just not feeling it there out on track. This is such a tricky track. And there are plenty of drivers out there, Michael, that just do not like this circuit. It just does not fit their style.
It is an incredibly punishing track, and you will see out of class passing. So some of you may be familiar with what they call Lemons Racing or World Racing League is another one of them. And so I was actually in a World Racing League race here in GP4, the lowest class, and going around the Alabama roller coaster, turn 2, turn 3, I passed a car 2 classes above me, and he got mad because he came back and he slammed into me and ended up getting a black flag that he thought was for me because I passed him. It's like, no, that's not how it works, my friend.
Indeed, but Byron Daly doing a fantastic job keeping up the pressure here on Sean Romig. Not a lot of that bumping and banging that you were talking about, Michael, but Daly looking like he's taking a healthy amount of these curves here, really pushing that black and red NinjaTrader Esports machine around the course here. Whoa, a little bit of a wide run there from Romig. That's going to allow for Daly to close in even more.
Yeah, Daly got the better line in that penultimate corner. Get up tight on that right side, and you can get the power down fast as we watch him come up to turn 1. He's going to get him under braking. Nope, tucks it back in, decides to wait maybe one more lap, give him a little pressure. This is the mind game right here. Coming around turn 2, turn 3, got to set it up, head up the hill through turn 4, which is right at the crest. So we watch right there as they go through there, heading down to Charlotte's Web. Can he get him under braking? I think he's a bit too far back to make that happen here.
Yeah, a bit too far back, but the pressure cooker starting to build here for Sean Romig. We always talk about that mental game of just trying to fill the mirrors of the driver in front of you, and I've got to imagine that on such a technical circuit like this, Michael, that is of the utmost importance. It's so hard to get by, but so easy to make a mistake.
Well, the easiest pass is when the other guy goes off track. Second easiest is when you do it in the pits. So you know, if you can get them to make a mistake, you fill up those mirrors, you get in their head, you get in their brain, they can't focus on what they need to be doing. Your brain has 100% of energy to do stuff. And if you are taking up some of that energy, that means it's not being set to driving. As we get down tight, right up into the sweeper, comes, let's see if he does the same thing again. Nope, both of them. Nice tight line going through. They're getting the power down. Get that hammer down, make that run down the straightaway past the start finish, getting into turn 1.
Getting into turn 1, this battle just sitting here and simmering, absolutely simmering its way out here as Daly gets closer and closer, bringing that gap under 0.2 of a second now as they work their way through the Alabama roller coaster, trying to see what he has. It looks like Romig able to power away off of the line a little bit easier, and that's really coming back to bite Byron Daly, because Daly needs to get the power down off of the roller coaster in order to make the pass around here. But as you said, just keeping that pressure up and keeping it nice and cooking away. Maybe this can be a situation where Daly can get that pass done in the pit stops, as he just seems to be so much better on the binders.
Yeah, what we may see here, if I were Daly, I would figure out when am I about a lap away from needing to pit. And then if he pits, if Romig pits, don't pit, make the extra lap, but like they always say to Lewis Hamilton, it's hammer time. Get out there, make just a burner, do exactly what you know this car will do, then get into the pits, make it perfect, and get out ahead of him, make the pass that way. So we watch him coming around again. Can he just get it tucked right in there, get the hammer down at this point, come across a little bit of that curbing? Oh, you know what? I think Daly just can't quite get on that curbing right there on the last corner.
Now, is that a setup issue potentially, or is that just a confidence issue that you don't want to be bringing the car all the way that across and running the risk of seeing exactly what happened to Rodrigo Mies happen to Byron Daly?
Well, I've driven these cars here in real life, but I haven't driven these in the sim. So I don't know how iRacing handles the car going across that last corner. But if seeing Rodrigo Mies having his issues and some of the other cars coming off of that corner having their issues, he might have been observing what was going on with the other ones and deciding, you know what, I'm not going to hit that inside curbing there because it's doing unpleasant things to the car and I cannot get the power down. So we watch him coming down into the museum corner. Again, let's see if he can get that power down, just stick up under the wing. Doing a nice job going through the switchback here, getting up under that back straight.
And he's able to keep it nice and close behind. That is Felipe Riquelme up ahead, about 4 seconds up the road of these guys. So it's not out of the question that something could happen here to Riquelme. Oh, as Montesinos has had a big problem. Montesinos off through the Alabama roller coaster. Massive damage to the car.
Ooh, and that puts him a little 3 seconds off right now. Let's take a look at the replay as he comes in here, going around that final corner. Just missing that curbing, gets a little bit of grass there. That shouldn't have done anything bad to him, but as he takes a little peek to go into turn 1, gets too much. Oh, the rear end just came out on him. Not quite enough to hold on, and then goes airborne. The best jump of the week right there.
There it is, a big bunch of air. Let's ride on board with Enzo Montesinos here as he goes for a ride in his Porsche Cup machine. So there you see, just understeering off, as you said, tries to catch it, and then just the loop. Ooh, there it is. My goodness.
Yeah, and that's frustrating because in the real life track, all that, there's no grass patch there. It's all paved. There are a couple of spots at this track in the iRacing version where it's not true to life. The exit of turn 1 is one of those spots. He probably would have been okay had it been paved like it is in real life. So as he would have come around there, even though he got a little bit wiggly there, he would have been fine. But you know what? Looks like Enzo said, you know what? I've got some speed here. I'm going to bring this back to a second in 1 lap. I was 3 seconds down, but no, I don't want to play that game.
Well, clearly a lot of speed to be had out of Enzo Montesinos if he's able to bring that gap down. Clearly more speed also to be had here from Byron Daly as he continues to work his way around Sean Romig, just trying to find that area to get it done. And Michael, I'm starting to agree with you more and more. I think the best option here for Daly is just keeping this pressure up and trying to get him by in the pits. But But how do you find that line between putting a lot of pressure on the driver in front of you and simultaneously making sure you don't make a mistake, as that car looked a little twitchy under braking?
Yeah, he's trying to get a little bit too close going down into Charlotte's Web there. I don't know that I would have been that close, but he's got the right idea. You just want to fill the mirrors. You just want to hang on just close enough. And right now, the gap between these guys is next to nothing. It's 3.5 tenths, 4 tenths. There's nothing between these guys. All you got to do is pester them. There are 3 Ps that I always teach to my students, clients, whatever you want to call them. And the third one is pestering. You want to pester the guy either in front of you or behind you. That goes both ways. You can get into the mind of the guy behind you too. So maybe it could be Romix doing a little bit of playtime here as well as we watch him get into that last corner, both of them holding nice, tight, and right, going through the final corner. Wow, look at how much curbing they're taking this time, though. I think they're starting to get comfortable, maybe thinking we kind of want to catch up to Raquelme. They may have said something and decided to work together. I wonder if that's what's going on. They're deciding to work together, see if they can catch up to Raquelme and see if one of them can snag that final podium position.
Potentially. They've only got about 4.5 seconds to do it, and if we see them really put the pedal down here with 10 laps to go, they certainly could do it. By the way, want to draw your attention to Enzo Montesinos. Remember when he was 3 seconds down? He's got that gap back down under 5 tenths of a second. Montesinos, with all of that damage and all of that curbing that we see that driver taking, just running the wheels off of that thing.
Wow, look at that. That is a huge difference. I mean, half a second here, half a second there. Eventually it adds up to real time, right? I mean, to borrow a phrase a little bit.
Indeed, both drivers, though, coming down pit lane here as they will cross over the line into the pits to take 9 laps to go. It'll be interesting to see if this is the pit stop window or if they are able to go a little bit longer. They could have gone a little bit longer. Felipe Raquelme opting to stay out. Sean Romig coming down pit lane. Byron Daly, he's staying out.
And Enzo Montesinos has closed that gap up under the entry to the pit stop to only 1/10 of a second, and he gets out first. He gets out ahead of Loyola.
Oh my goodness gracious, talk about some drama in the pits. Now it's all up to Felipe Loyola to try to be the chasing car here, and he's going to get a little bit of a taste of his own medicine, and that is unless Enzo Montesinos is able to scamper away off into the distance. We've got a race on, but it isn't done yet because I think Loyola's going to have a move down into Charlotte's Web, pokes his nose to the outside, trying to go side by side down into the hairpin. He's not going to have it, looks for a little bit of the crossback, but it's not going to work. Enzo Montesinos holds on to that position.
Really nice defensive driving from Montesinos, but making another look, trying to come down into the entrance. Oh, we've got all 3 corners right here. Oh, bang, 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 take them all. Get the power down. Come on, Enzo, pull it away. Well, I don't want to root for anybody, but I got to say, Montesinos has had one heck of a drive today.
He certainly has, and he's certainly putting on an even better display here. 4/10 of a second, the gap between himself and the presumptive championship leader at the end of this race, Felipe Loyola. As Rodrigo Mies, we do not anticipate scoring points here today. So here he comes down through the carousel now, trying to see what he can do. So many of the portions of this track feeling a little bit reminiscent of other places around the United States. That final section, a little bit reminiscent of Mid-Ohio. Obviously, Museum having a little bit of a similarity to the world-famous corkscrew around Laguna Seca.
Yeah, not quite as steep, but still a similar feel. No yellow ribbon on the oak tree out there, but you know, you get that kind of feel. Every racetrack has turns that feel like somewhere else, and that's another one of the things I teach. Oh, get down on the inside! Looks like Loyola's got to the inside. A little bit of contact there as they make their way around Charlotte's Web, and Montesinos is not the victor this time.
Wow, talk about an elbows out move there for Felipe Loyola. Absolutely incredible from a mile back there, just chucking that car down to the inside. You can see Montesinos getting out of it. He didn't think that he had it there, and that was Loyola just saying, nope, I have led this race from the beginning, and I'm not giving it up.
Yeah, that was an interesting time to consider a pass. definitely caught me by surprise. I would not have expected a pass from that far back, but with a driver like Loyola, who's sitting at the top of the championship, you kind of have to expect anything, because he has shown us time and time again, he is willing to make a pass that others might not, but he does it really well. It does not look out of control. It does not look gratuitous. It looks like he planned it that way for a long time, and it went exactly according to his plan.
Indeed, as now we have Raquelme and Daly popping down pit lane. The 06 coming to a rest in his box. Remember, that battle going to be between himself and Sean Romig to see where they come out. Romig coming on the start-finish straight right now as Daly starts rolling, waiting for that cone. This is going to be close between the two, and I'm not sure who's it going to be at the exit. They're going to be side by side coming out of the pits. Daly chucking that car around the outside, trying to see if there's a little bit of speed, but Romig has it for now.
Oh, but they've got that run down the straight. If there was somebody watching a monitor for him, telling him what he can do, hey, try to pull that Loyola move, but he doesn't do it. He stays on the outside with a defensive move, pushing just a little bit too far. Got some tire smoke as they come off of Charlotte's Web, heading down that straightaway into the museum turn.
And it's going to be a drag race here in a battle of the late breakers between Romig and Daly. Daly diving onto the binders and gets the move done into that museum complex. A great pass. Many, many laps in the making for Byron Daly.
I wouldn't count it as over yet, though, because Sean Romig is going to want this position back. Daly's out front right now trying to... got that backwards. It's Daly in front, Romig behind, trying to make his way back through here. Watch for another pass. The next place you're going to see this happen is probably going into the Alabama roller coaster. Oh, right here, trying to get up in the side. Doesn't quite get there. Both of them hold that tight line just like they've been doing all along. Now they're going to put the power down. But remember, Romig was faster down this straightaway. Can he get him by turn one?
Let's see if he's able to close in. It doesn't look like it for the moment. Trying to get onto the back there of Byron Daly. Daly now able to hold that gap at about 0.3 of a second as they work their way through the Alabama roller coaster. He's going to be praying to get the power down here early and try to speed away, because Sean Romig is going to want this position back if he can get it down into Charlotte's Web. Here they come. Romig looks a little bit far back, and indeed he's going to stay in line as they work their way through Charlotte's Web hairpin.
I think Daly's having to get on the brakes just a little bit sooner, and Daly doing a great job getting the power down, coming down the straightaway, looking to the inside, coming up towards the museum corner, both heading down, just rank and file going through there. Now it's time to put the power down one more time, head up onto this backstretch with the little switch back.
Little bit of a switch back there as they come their way through now. Flying through the S's, Romig not letting this battle die out quite easily, still keeping it under 0.4 of a second. He's going to have to wait a little bit to get a move done, I think. See him taking a little bit of a later apex there into the carousel, trying to fight his way through the best he can. Oh, that looked like a little bit of a mistake from Daly, and it allows for Romig to catch back up.
Ooh, this is a really nice race unfolding. It's exactly the opposite of what we were watching before the pit stop rotation. These two were going at it absolutely hammer and tongs, lap after lap after lap, and now we're seeing them just switch positions and doing the exact same thing. This is a really good show they're putting on for us.
Indeed, it is a fantastic battle that they continue to put on. Romig now going to try to tuck behind in the draft as they work their way down the straight into turn 5. He's not going to be close enough again, though. The gap's starting to expand a little bit. It's up to 4.5 of a second. Romig hoping for a little bit of power now as they work their way out of the hairpin, going down the straightaway into museum, but the gap resolutely staying at about 0.4 of a second.
Yep, right down here once again, heading down in here. I think Daly's just got a little bit better entry into this, but when it comes time to get out of this corner, watch how Romig is able to get the power down and just stick that car to the ground as we go through this switch back up onto the back stretch.
Yeah, really, really good power down out of there, and he continues to keep that gap right where he wants it, within striking range. And here comes that double mental battle again. Now it's Romig, the aggressor, but Romig runs a little bit wide going into the carousel there, but again, able to close down massively through the middle of that corner around turn 14.
Yeah, coming around the last part of the carousel there into turn 14, there are probably 3 different lines. There's that one really really wide one that you saw Daly just do. And there's that middle line that Romig was trying to pull to try to tuck his nose up under there. You can also do a really tight line, but that's really only in extreme defensive situations. But let's head back up to the front and take a look at what's going on with Loyola and Montesinos. These guys have been really battling hard for the past couple of laps.
Yeah, indeed they have, just absolutely pushing each other as hard as they will go. We ride on the hood here of Enzo Montesinos, trying to go down into Charlotte's Web. Ooh, little bit of a diamond there for Enzo. That cost him a couple of tenths, just losing a little bit of speed as they work their way out. But he's been able to keep that gap under 0.5 of a second pretty much since Loyola was able to get by him after the pit stops.
An interesting note, his attack on that corner is really a real life attack. When I go through that corner, you absolutely want to line the car up exactly like you did in real life. Doesn't work as well in iRacing. Some things, the physics just don't work out the same way. But let's watch them as they come down into turn 1, trying to turn their way through there, try to close up that gap, still at about 0.5 second, just comes under a little bit, right down to 3. But as soon as the power comes on, Loyola starts to pull away again.
Now, could that be a little bit of that downforce tweaking that we've talked about a little bit? Maybe Loyola's running a little bit less rear wing and he's able to pull away. Could that be? Whoa! Big lock up there for Enzo Montesinos, and I think that is going to scupper a lot of his chances as we only have 3 laps to go.
Well, it's a 2-second gap, and we watched earlier. Let's watch the replay here, but we watched earlier as he went into a corner and didn't come out so well, ended up going airborne, ended up with a 3-second gap and made it up within 2 laps. But watch right here, going in under braking, they've got a very different line here. That could be a little bit of backing him up. Now, that's not illegal. It's not unsportsmanlike. It's just racing. You can slow the guy behind you down a little bit if you want to, just by overslowing a little bit into corner. Now, if you do it too much, that's a problem. And then it really becomes an issue. Then it's unsportsmanlike. But a little bit doesn't matter. But look at the gap now. Where is it? It's under a second. We're at 0.8 of a second, 3 laps to go. I think Enzo has got a chance to make it back up there and get right up under his tail and really make a pest of himself.
He certainly does. Only 2 laps to go here, and Enzo Montesinos able to get that gap back down under 0.7 of a second as they work their way through the Alabama roller coaster. Despite all the damage on that car and that trip through the air that we saw him take earlier, I am so very much impressed with Enzo Montesinos and the run that he has had to get his way around here, really pushing that number 24 machine.
Yeah, watching him work his way back up underneath the wing of Loyola has been an impressive feat of driving. He's doing an excellent job, taking a lot of curbing on that one as he gets the power down. Where he's faster, we mentioned this earlier, where you are faster versus where the other guy is faster, they don't always line up, and sometimes it just overslows you. Montesinos, I think, can pull out a faster lap, but with Loyola in front of him, slowing him down in places that he wants to go faster and can't, well, that's kind of messing up his vibe.
It certainly is. Is that
in the pits?
That's got to be a drive-through. That is got to be a drive-through penalty here for Enzo Montesinos with 1 lap to go. Oh my goodness, heartbreak for the 24.
Yeah, seeing, well, there was the spin, that had to be a couple of points, and then a couple for those touches of the grass. Every time you get too much grass, you're going to get another point.
Exactly, and yeah, that's exactly what it was. Enzo Montesinos coming in and out of the pits. It looks like he's going to be able to hold on to that 2nd place position as the white flag waves in the air. Raquelme still about 3.5 seconds behind Montesinos. Daly and Romig still duking it out, but the story is now this man, Felipe Loyola, who withstood immense pressure from Enzo Montesinos really since the drop of the green flag, is going to be coming now, working his way out of museum and through the S's for one final time.
Yeah, and I think he's taking a little bit easier this time. He doesn't have the pressure. Now, you don't want to go too slow. When you've got that pressure off of you and you kind of take it easy, you can really mess up. A lot of what goes on a racetrack is all about timing as he comes around for his final time.
Working his way through the carousel, through 14, down into 15. The 07 will regain the title lead with the victory here at Barber Motorsport Park. It is a great drive from Felipe Loyola, 15 seconds behind him. Enzo Montesinos will come home in second. Sean Romig looking like he's sputtering a little bit. What happened to Romig?
Oh, Romig may be out of fuel. Just short fueled it a tiny bit, and that was that pass that we watched earlier on under the pit stop. He's just having to roll the car as best as he can. This is all downhill here, though. If he pulls the clutch in or pushes the clutch in, if hand clutch versus foot clutch, he can make it all the way. Now, just minimize the line, no input, and maybe like blow on the windshield if you can to get the rest of the way down here to Barney the flagman.
You can see him just kind of moving forward in his seat, willing that car forward, and he will cross the line.
I'm moving forward in my seat for him.
And that is going to round out your finishers here today at Barber Motorsports Park. Do not go anywhere. We are going to take a very quick break, but we will return with unofficial finishing order as well as some podium interviews.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park. We have just witnessed the PRL Porsche Cup Series put on an epic battle with Felipe Loyola able to take the win after withstanding a lot of pressure from Enzo Montesinos. Felipe Riquelme came home third, followed by Byron Daly, who was able to best Sean Romig. Ratio Cal Quinn finished 2 laps down after misfueling the car. Rodrigo Mies was a DNF on the day, unfortunately, and Ignacio Fredes, he did not start. But Michael, the tail of the tape there, just absolutely incredible battles, really all the way up and down from the drop of the green flag to the drop of the checkered.
Absolutely, and the gap from P1 to P2 does not tell the story, although it does tell part of the story. When you look at how well these guys were just going at it hammer and tongs all the way through the race, you had, I think, the real start of the falling apart was when Rodrigo Mies spun. I think it was on lap 3, and there we see it right there. He just didn't quite get something right, hit the grass on the way out, and that was just the start of it. It's kind of like we were talking, it's music and it's dancing. You're dancing with the car, you and your car, your partner, and you're dancing to the music. It's like when you watch a dancing thing happen and somebody's shoe came untied and they tripped, because he was a brilliant drive. It was an absolutely brilliant drive. He had a wonderful drive ahead of him. He was sitting there calculating exactly what he wanted to have happen. And then he stepped on a shoelace. And that kind of started this cascade of things that happened all through the race. And then later on, we had where the P2 car, which was Enzo Montesinos, doing a brilliant job, just ticking away, went off, went airborne, which was a great part of the show, I gotta say. I sometimes enjoy race cars going airborne, and that was a fun one. And he just took off, and then he got a 3-second gap, but he closed it up immediately. And then another mistake, and another mistake, just little mistakes. If you're not in sync, if you don't have harmony, if you're not dancing to the beat of the song that the track is playing, it's just gonna bite you. And unfortunately, that's the way this one played out. But the one person who did play the song beautifully all the way through, P1, Felipe Loyola, he had it from beginning to end. Really, when you watched him take off from the start, had a beautiful jump off the line, really put the power down, got it out there far enough to make it hard. And then even though Enzo Montesinos, I think, was faster, based on what I was saying earlier, he was clearly faster. He closed up a massive gap. And when he closed up that gap, it was clear to Loyola that I really need to stay out front for sure. And he drove a brilliant race. He listened to the car. He played along with what the track gave him and did exactly what he needed to do. Montesinos tried to do it, but right at the end, I think he just overdrove the car a little bit too much. And that was what ended up ending his day. Still came in P2, which, hey, anytime you're on the podium is a great day. So Loyola, Montesinos, Riquelme, beautiful job. Daly, Romig, I loved watching your battle. That was absolutely brilliant. And going back to Cal Quinn, short fuel, bummer. That's heartbreaking. And for Mies, and I really feel for you, but some days it's just not there. And I think you did the right thing. I would have probably done the same thing and taken the time and said, you know what, today's not my day. I don't need to be on the racetrack because I'm just going to mess up someone else's race.
Well, indeed, that was a great analysis there, but that is unfortunately going to wrap things up for us here on the Global Sim Racing channel. But before we go, we'd like to thank our sponsors for the day, including ASR. They design and build the sturdiest, most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available on the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com. RaceLab. It helps you to improve your driving skills. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebutkicker.com. NinjaTrader. Visit ninjatrader.com and get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Also, we'd like to thank the Majors Garage, home of free Baseline Plus setups. Click the link in the description below and also use our special discount code MajorsGSRC and you will get 10% off. Thanks as well to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. An additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more of her awesome work. Thanks to the team today, Michael, Joe, and Dougie. You can find out more about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media listed below. Also, please check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storeenvy.com. We also keep a link in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race on the channel, well, that's going to be the Grand Prix Legends as they turn left a little bit, taking on the Pocono Oval Legacy Edition. That'll be 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, February 12th. Next race for these two series, it will be Sebring and Spa Classic Pits Thursday, February 18th at 8:25 Eastern. We also have upcoming races listed for other series on the screen, so check them out and mark them down on your calendars. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and see you on the track.